the world is changing at a very rapid pace, and you need to change as well, but you don't need to exactly match the pace of what's happening in the world around you, because that's what's contributing to the overwhelm, is that you see how quickly things are moving, and you feel like, okay, I need to quickly move as well, and learn all these things all at once. Is like, but actually, like, the pace that it's happening out there versus the pace where it's happening for you is slightly different. But there is a certain cadence that you need to keep up with. And that cadence is,
Hello, and welcome to the Expansive Podcast. Always wonderful to have you with us. We're already on our third episode of the podcast for 2025, and we're so grateful that you are here. We know that the world of podcasting is really a weird one because everybody in the world is competing for the same hours or minutes that you spend listening. So in other words, we are competing against Joe Rogan, against Call Her Daddy, and against every other podcast in the world. So we're so grateful that you're with us here today, and welcome to it. We have a great podcast ahead for you. But as always, we like to have a quick check-in with my co-pilot to make sure everything is cool on his world before we kick off. Erik, how are you, my friend?
hey, bro. Yeah, I'm so good. As always, great to be on the pod with you. It's a early Thursday morning that we're recording. I've already played a game of paddle. I won, so that's always great. Wow. And that's not the outlier. It's not an outlier. A win.
Were you playing in the women's league again? What was the?
Played two very tough opponents and beat them, and had a meditation.
Who's Sarah and Jane? Sarah and Jane were very tough. Good for you. Like early morning paddle is quite a thing. I mean, you're still fast asleep.
Yeah.
Eh? You got to say, look, it's all about winning. It doesn't matter what league I'm playing in, as long as I win. Nobody has to know who I'm playing.
It's not about the details. It's not about the details.
Exactly.
I don't share the behind the scenes with anyone.
Yeah. That's not important. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So early morning paddle, bit of meditation, spend some time with the pups. Now on this, a bit later today, I'm doing my second session with Entrepreneurs Organization.
Oh, nice.
I'm running a big program for them this year called Jumpstart January, where I'm with them over 3 weeks, delivering 3 keynotes and 3 Q&A sessions. So today, the first session went really well. We maxed out the amount of people that could attend the session.
Brilliant.
The Q&A is today, so that's going to be cool. And then ending of the week tomorrow, like nice and easy. What's happening for you? You in Cape Town?
Look, I mean, I think that I am Cape Town at the moment, but I think the major win for you to be really realize how successful you've been in that EO event is how many expansive books have you sold in that session. That's the only way I'm judging the success of this event for you. When you message me later and say, John, I sold 800 copies of the Expansive book that's coming out in March. And that's obvious. Erik, well done, brother. That's really when success is landed.
Just shows you people measure success in very different ways, you know?
Yes, I know. That's as we've got our book coming out now, we are in a little bit of a competition in how many books we're going to be selling. So good luck to you. Is it a competition?
I thought we're collaborating.
Because
this is all
because the winner takes $1 million, and so good luck to you. And I don't know where the $1 million is coming from.
I was going to say, who's fronting the $1 million? That's great. It's amazing.
Look, whoever loses is fronting the $1 million. That's actually what the story is. Anyway, so for our listeners, we have our new book coming out. You obviously know this because you've been listening to our pod. We've got a bunch of launches coming up. We are finalizing details with the publishers. We have like 4 or 5 publishers that are keen to print it for us. So we're very, very grateful for that. And we're just choosing the right publisher and the right partnership at the moment. We're looking forward to sharing it with you, seeing it on the bestsellers list and seeing you at the launches. It's always great to do those launches because you get to see all the people that listen to the pod and, you have those sort of connections and they're always fun. We haven't had one for ages.
Yeah, it's been too long. Tell me what's happening in Cape Town, dude. Welcome to Cape Town.
Yes.
What's happening in Cape Town?
Wonderful to be here. Yeah, wonderful to be here. Now I'm here for a couple gigs and extended my trip for a couple days just to see friends and enjoy Cape Town while it's in season. I mean, the dichotomy is Dubai is in season as well. So and Dubai season's cooking and Cape Town season's cooking. So just to spend a bit of time here, it's always wonderful this time of the year. And I was at the airport, and the line for the international passport clearance was so long that as I came out the plane, the queue was all the way back there. There were 7 flights that had arrived. 7 flights that arrived at the same time. It was ridiculous. I was like, geez, this is
insane.
I mean, it must be like 2-3 hours to get through that passport control, and often people say, oh, South Africa, look, I've been to San Francisco, to Germany, and there's 3-hour backups. So it's not really a South African thing. It's just like sometimes too many planes arrive at the same time. You don't have the systems that are able to get them through. And this is really where we start to need the facial recognition passport sort of things. In Dubai, what they're starting to do now is you soon won't need a passport. It's just facial recognition. Europe is starting to do it. And so really what we have to do is starting to do this so that people can come and go much easier. So there isn't such a backlog and checking those passports. So it was really impressive for Cape Town's sake, having 7 planes arriving, being voted again the top city in the world to visit. I mean, there's a lot going on here. So it's a wonderful and beautiful, great to be here.
And listen, yesterday was a beaut of a day. I mean, it was hot. It was 33 degrees.
Yeah.
But we went out, we had date night, Dad and I. So we went to Guardian's Peak, which is a beautiful wine farm just outside of Stellenbosch. And it was pumping. It's a Wednesday night. The restaurant was packed to the brim. And then when we came back, it was around 8:30. The sun had already set, and the beach was still pumping, dude, for a Wednesday night. It was busy. So I mean, what a
Lots
place
going
to
on,
be. Welcome.
Welcome. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Thank you very much. Okay, let's kick off. And you're going to be kicking us off with something that Mel Robbins is doing now. Mel Robbins is the master of owning language. She had the 5-second rule that really propelled her into the world. I saw an interview with her and Oprah talking about what you're going to talk about now. And Oprah was saying how amazing she is. And she was crying because she's always looked at Oprah. So well done, Mel Robbins. You've done an exceptional job of putting yourself out there and becoming an A-lister podcaster. And I'm looking forward to what you want to share about that.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's something incredibly simple. So she's the master of language. She's also the master of popularizing things that are extremely simple, I think. And the 5-second rule was something that was, extremely basic, but she positioned it well, and it really took off for people. And now recently she brought out an entire book, which I must be honest, I don't know how you write an entire book about this idea, but well done. She's managed it somehow. And I was just reading a bit about, the premise of the book, and I came across this poem, and they said that they think this poem inspired the book. And I was just reading through it, and I thought, it's such a nice little poem. It would be great to actually share on the pod, because it's also something that we speak about often, and I think what has happened for us over the past few years is I think we've become much better at letting people just do them and letting us do us, and we get so caught up in what other people are doing, or we get so dragged down when someone comments on something that we are doing, that you are doing. And the perfect example of this would be you deliver a keynote to an audience of 300 and you get glowing reviews, but you get that one review that comes back and says, this wasn't for me. And then what do? Is that you hyper focus on this one review, this one bit of negative feedback that you got. And so I think over time you start realizing you can't allow other people and their perceptions or perspectives of you to keep dragging you down. And I think that's where this rule starts coming in, and it kind of frees you from the expectations and perspectives of others. So I want to read this to you. It's not too long, but it's going to take a little bit to get through it. So it's called Let Them, and the author, who wrote this poem, was Cassie Phillips. So it goes, just let them. If they want to choose something or someone over you, let them. If they want to go weeks without talking to you, let them. If they are okay with never seeing you, let them. If they are okay with always putting themselves first, let them. If they are showing you who they are and not what you perceive them to be, let them. If they want to follow the crowd, let them. If they want to judge or misunderstand you, let them. If they act like they can live without you, let them. If they want to walk out of your life and leave, hold the door open and let them. Let them lose you. You were never theirs because you were always your own, so let them. Let them show you who they truly are, not tell you. Let them prove how worthy they are of your time. Let them make the necessary steps to be a part of your life. Let them earn your forgiveness. Let them call you to talk about ordinary things. Let them take you out on a Thursday. Let them talk about anything and everything just because it's you they are talking to. Let them have a safe place in you. Let them see the heart in you that didn't harden. Let them love you. Let them. Nice, eh? What do you
Oh,
think?
very good. I mean, obviously, the book is called The Let Them Theory.
Yeah.
I don't think we mentioned that. And she had a couple examples in that interview with Oprah where she used to get very worked up about arbitrary things. And she was like, her daughter said to her once, like, what are you doing? Why do you even care what they're wearing or whatever the case may be? And I think what a lot of the things we do is we get irritated with stuff that's really out of our control. And there's no point for us to even get irritated with. And I
Mm,
think it's a master stroke to be able to let them. I think
mm,
when it comes to more intimate spaces, like if they're leaving you, open the door and leave it and let them. Yeah, that's hard. That is
mm,
hard because you're being rejected there. But I think on a broad scale, to let them do what they need to do and to create your own bubble of existence and your own bubble of reality, irrelevant of what everybody else is doing, is really a superpower. And I'm always perplexed at people that come and talk crap on our posts. I'm like, do you have that much time? Like, what? How bitter is your life that you want to come here, play? Like, I don't even know who you are, and I don't even care what you're up to. Like, leave me alone. Like, let me carry on doing what I'm doing.
mm,
So
mm.
let them is a wonderful exercise in being more elegant in our approach to the world. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think and it's not about passivity, but it's about releasing yourself from the judgment of others. Like, even if you come and judge me, that's fine. I'm not going to buy into your story. And people just don't understand I see this with TikTok all the time, dude, where because it allows almost anyone to go viral, what happens is that you have people who don't have the emotional intelligence to deal with the bullying and the rejection. And I, I had a post do like pretty well this past week. I think it hit about 60,000 views or so on TikTok. And of
Wow.
course, like anytime you see a bit of traction, like they start coming out of the woodworks and hiding behind anonymous accounts and whatever. And it would just like, it was a post about transformational leadership. And, the comments are like, oh, like, I said transformational leadership is the leadership style for 2025. And then it's like, oh, but like based on whose authority, or who are you to say that? Or just like,
Yeah.
no, or, it's like people are, I'm like, why take the time to comment on this? Just like, just let them, just do your thing. Like,
Yeah.
let me just do my thing
Yeah.
and I'll let you do your thing.
Yeah.
We don't have to cross
Yeah. Yeah.
paths.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
You know
so
what that
funny,
is?
man.
That's a bitter life. It's a
Yeah.
bitter life, and there's somewhere they need to get rid of that bitterness. I remember when I used to run my restaurants, the people that were always the one that were trying to bully the staff were having a horrible life. They'd come through with some issue from the day, and now was taking it out on the staff. And so
Yeah.
it's a power dynamic. And I think behind an anonymous account, you have all the power in the world. Like, I love it. These anonymous accounts making all these
Yeah.
chirps, and I often think them, are there people I know? Are there actually people that I know that are taking this swipe
Hiding.
at me from an anonymous account? Yeah.
There's one
Yeah, but
comment here says,
bitterness.
"This is such garbage."
Yeah.
And but
Thank
dude,
you.
but my point really is that, we've been in this game long enough to also understand that this is part and parcel of what's going to happen. And my problem with it is that you have younger guys and women who are also on the platforms, who get this sudden like burst of visibility and exposure. They get to deal with this, but they don't have the emotional intelligence to just to just deal with this kind of stuff. And so I've seen so many of them really struggle with all the hate they receive online. And of course, this poem isn't just about that, but it's relevant to that area of life as well.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a master stroke. Soften your expectations and judgments of the world outside,
Mm,
and live a much more peaceful life. In fact, I think
yeah.
what happens to you is you just gain so much more energy to do the things that are important to you. Like, you're spending all that time out there hating on people. Like, what just use that energy in a different way. Like, why are you wasting that energy? It's
Mm,
precious life force that you're using for that. Anyway,
yeah.
let them is a great way to release those Muppets. And you know, we have the 2 or 3 Muppets that are not continuously, but often from time to time make ridiculous remarks about our stuff. I'm like, Jesus, man, I have no idea what you're up to. I couldn't care what you're up to. Why do you care what we're up to? Anyway,
but also
we still
just
have
remember,
some, yeah.
just remember the expansive version of Let Them is knobs into dogs. So we have our
Knobs
own
into
version
dogs.
of Let Them. Yes.
Yeah, that's an exercise for us to see them as dogs and love them as dogs. So that's very hard. But yes, we are trying. We are trying, and it does help. It really does help. So thank you for that.
What's next?
What I wanted to speak about today is the 3 processes that I've started to sort of like operate at this year, and I thought it was really like important to explain to people that are working in corporations or in your own business, is the 3 phases to what I think what we have to do in the age of AI, and especially in the age of agentic thinking. And just for everybody listening, agentic thinking is an AI that is connected to a large language model that has the ability to reason. Let's remember that generative AI was able to create and analyze and interact. It wasn't able to reason. And predictive AI wasn't able to create anything new, but just predict what was coming next. And so as we start to see the evolution of AI, we start to see that it went from predictive to generative to agentic. And agentic is this ability to reason. And as AI starts to get this opportunity to create, analyze, interact, and reason at an IQ of hundreds, if not thousands eventually, we start to realize that the world ahead of us is dramatically going to change over the next few years because of this agentic thinking and reasoning that's come to us. And if we're panicking about this, we must remember that in the agricultural era, the only thing we added to the world was our power, physical power, and we would only rely on ourselves and our horses. And that was 1 horsepower. And as human beings, a third of a horsepower. Today, we have rockets at 70 million horsepower. We don't even look at ourselves as horsepower value addition to the world. And soon we won't look at ourselves as IQ value addition to the world, which is what we're doing at the moment. So the 3 phases that I am taking with organizations to help them make better decisions about what's coming, because it's really important that we have a calm approach to what's coming rather than an anxious one. And the 3 phases, and I'm going to unpack them even further, but the 3 phases are simplify, elevate, and restructure. And why it's important to do them in this way is in order to be able to elevate your awareness and to restructure your organizations, you need to simplify the understanding of artificial intelligence. And what most leaders are doing is bringing AI in to modify their existing businesses, but not simplify it in a way of understanding what else they could do with it. And the reason there isn't that ability to reimagine what you can do with AI is because of 1, stress, 2, quarterly profits, 3, KPIs. And so you're stuck in this loop of short-term thinking that doesn't give you the bandwidth to want to think about AI in a strategic term. And so the first talk that I've put together is called AI Frontiers, simplified decision-making for leaders so that they can simplify the way they think about how they access AI, what teams do they actually work with, what capabilities do they need, so that they can start to think about AI in a more holistic way rather than just bringing efficiencies to their existing businesses. Now, let's think about a business that hasn't got this right. And that's a company called Zara. Went from a $19 billion evaluation to an $11 billion evaluation at the same time when Shein went from a $0 to $100 billion evaluation, all because of Zara's inability to see the holistic approach that AI could take. So the first thing we have to do as human beings, as leaders, as business owners, is simplify our understanding of artificial intelligence. And this is not about the way artificial intelligence works, but how do you use AI? And I'm not saying prompting ChatGPT. That's one part of it, but really a friendly approach to engaging and simplifying AI, where it's at and how you can use it best in your business. And if you're not friendly and not simplifying AI, the quote is, complexity is the enemy of execution, meaning that you're not going to execute on anything. In fact, you are ignoring it, not simplifying it, which means that you can't make any moves on it. So step 1 is simplify. Any comments?
Yeah, I agree with it. And I think one of the biggest challenges that people have is that because it feels overwhelming, you tend to step away from it. And the longer you step away from it, the harder it becomes to get into it.
That's right.
And so the call to action, I think, in many ways, is you have to just start, because you're not going to understand it from the outside in. You have to be on the inside and play with it. And like my friend Yaku is a good example of this. So
Yeah.
he's been building in the AI space now for more than a year. And
Yeah.
when he started, he knew that he wanted just to figure out artificial intelligence and how he could apply it in different ways. But he didn't quite know exactly what it would end up being, like where it would
Yeah.
go. But because he was playing and he started to understand the model's capabilities, and he was playing with different models, and they were building like towards something, over time that something evolved. And where they are today is they have a really cool solution that they've started building out. But it took a year of kind of playing around with it to understand it. But it was small steps. It wasn't jumping in and trying to understand everything in one go. And because we see so much coming from AI all the time, it's just overwhelm. And if you let that overwhelm get the better of you, then you're never going to start. And if you never start, then you're never going to take a more simplified approach to it.
That the thing to do is to hire consultants, hire specialists, watch YouTube, watch the interviews, listen to podcasts, read blogs, make it a daily habit to simplify it.
Mm,
Because initially, when you start reading it, it won't make sense. It's Chinese. And within 3 weeks, you'll understand a few more words. And remember, it's like a new language. You just have to learn a new language. I find that with crypto,
mm,
crypto's a new language. You understand that language, you can play in that world. If you don't understand the
yeah.
language, you don't understand what's going on.
Mm,
And I'm still
mm,
not proficient in it, but every day, I have a meeting with my team every week around it. And so there's always continuous education that's happening in it so that I can simplify my understanding of it. So that's step one: simplify technology. If you don't simplify technology, you can't action it. 2, elevate consciousness. Now, look, if you listen to this podcast, this is all I speak about. It's like, if you don't elevate your consciousness, you cannot see any new opportunities ahead of you. It's quite as simple as that. And you are, Dave Chappelle said something amazing on Saturday Night Live. He did a skit. His skit wasn't that great, but he had some points that were just magnificent. And he said that when he saw the LA fires, and the destruction that it had in LA. And he was really sad because a lot of his friends were part of that destruction. He doesn't live in LA, but he has a lot of friends that do. And then he was looking at the social media comments about the people losing their homes in California. And the comments were horrific. The comments were, serves you right, that's a star, that's what you deserve. Da, 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 da. And then he said, this is why I have a problem with poor people. I hate poor people. And everybody laughed, and that was the punchline. But what he said afterwards is that poor people can't see past their pain. And that is profound, because victims can't see past their pain. And poor people can't see past their pain. So they make anybody rich the devil. And so you realize that it's just because of their pain that they can't see past it. And this is the perfect example of elevating consciousness, is that when if you have an elevated consciousness, men are a problem, women are a problem, governments are a problem, money is a problem, your food is a problem, everything's a problem until you elevate your awareness and you see a new solution that is available to you, that's out of your habits and behaviors and personalities that you've been developing over the last few years or your whole life. And so once you've simplified AI, the next thing to do is to elevate your awareness and consciousness so that you can start to utilize this information in new ways, because your old version of you wasn't going to do that. You need a new version of you to do that. And how do you elevate consciousness? It's very, very simple. Heal your past and rewire your brain. It's kind of all it is. Heal your past. Ayahuasca, mushrooms, family constellations. Rewire your brain. Meditation, breath work, visualization, future memories. Simple. That's it. You do those two things as a practice on a daily basis. And Erik, you're a perfect example of it. You've picked up on it. You're doing it a lot. I know how rich you are. I know what turnovers you're doing. This is a brand new world that you're living in. And it's all because of the work that you've been doing around it. It hasn't happened by mistake. I mean, I know the back workings of what you do in your private life. The listeners all don't, but it's so obvious that those are the two things that you've done. And look at what's happened to you. You're traveling the world and you're doing these amazing things. And so simplify, elevate. Any comments?
Yeah, no, I mean, just that it's it's a simple 2-step process, but it's also a very, very difficult 2-step process.
Of course.
And I think for most people to even start thinking about healing their past, and also, you're asking people to heal their past as it relates to something like artificial intelligence, for example. Not that there's like an AI wound in the past. I just mean we're saying like, okay, think about the future and how you might need to adopt to new technologies. But part of how you think about that is you have to go back and heal your past. And I think that it feels almost like a bit of a disconnect. Like I don't think many people can see the relationship between those two things.
Look, I don't think it's about specifically healing anything to do with technology.
No. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
What I have found is that when I heal my past, I have more bandwidth to think about what I want to do next, rather than having a recycled conversation inside my head about defending myself, about angry with the world, judging the world. Look, poor people can't see past their pain. All of us can't see past our pain. It might not be poverty. It might be relationships. It might be money. It might not be moving from 0 to 1. It might be from moving from 5 million to 20 million. And that process, the pain that we have and the past experiences we have blocked us. Sure. And so I loved what Dave Chappelle said. And we don't even know we're doing this. This is the thing.
That's so good. You can't see past your pain.
You can't see past your pain. Good, poor people can't see. It's so good, bro. That is, when he said that, I was like, wow. Even me, bro, like not even me, everybody, but even me, it's like I couldn't see past me judging myself. Like, Courtney, the character I found inside me, just continuously judging myself. I had no idea I was even doing that. I was doing it for 49 years. I've been doing this. I didn't even know I was doing it. It was just simple internal dialogue. Heal the past. Don't have anything to defend myself with. Guess what? So much more energy to start thinking about new things. That's all. Sure. You just replenish your energy. Yeah. So that's 2.
Cool. Take us to number 3.
Restructure. And restructure, 2, the keynote I've created for that is the Human AI Symphony. I've done it around the world many times. I'm updating it all the time. So the first thing I need to do with executives is AI frontiers to simplify AI. 2 is to teach you how to elevate the consciousness of your organization so you can start to solve problems.
Listen, I just realized this is one big infomercial for John Sanei's
Absolutely.
Keynote.
Absolutely. Here we are.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, www.johnsanei.com. Call us on 0.971. Get 2 for 1 for free. And you can get to listen to the podcast. And anyway. But
and how many books are you selling at those gigs?
Yes. How many books? Yes. Everybody use code John 001. No. You know what's happened is that as I put these 3 talks together, I've started to realize the themes that I'm following. I didn't actually even think about the themes until I put the talks together. And I was like, the first one simplifies it. The second one elevates it. And the third one restructures it.
Yeah.
I was like, geez, that's what everybody needs to start doing. And the third talk is called Transformation. And it's about restructuring your organizations and your business and really your thinking about how do you start to restructure your approach in what you're going to do in the future. Whatever job you had in the past is going to change. Like that is obvious. And so the quicker you can restructure, which means the more you've elevated, which means the more you've simplified. So it's really just it's a continuous loop of simplification, elevation, and restructuring. It's an ongoing process. And in transformation, I talk about dual teams, is that you need the today and tomorrow team. You need teams that are focused with capabilities that are both keeping the lights on and planting seeds for tomorrow. And I was on a podcast recently, and her client base was small to medium-sized businesses. And she said, I understand what you mean for corporates. Or what about small to medium-sized businesses? I said, look, hire a consultant, 1 hour a week. Get a coach that coaches you on AI. Get somebody who come and look at your business with brand new eyes that understands data management, that understands gaming, that understands something to do with the new world, and let them look at your business and let them give you some feedback on that. But most people are ignoring it. Why? Because complexity is the enemy of execution. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I can't afford it. I'm not even going to engage with it. And so we have to realize we really have no choice. With agentic thinking here, if you're not simplifying, elevating, and restructuring, you're going to be found with your pants down, and not in a good way, in a bad way. Because sometimes being caught with your pants down is quite a good thing.
It's not a bad thing.
Not in this scenario. That's a whole other podcast. When to get caught with your pants down and to celebrate. This is not this time.
Not that time. Yeah, dude, I really like it. So simplify, elevate, and restructure.
That's the model for 2025. And
Yeah.
the more of that you can do on a continuous basis, the more you just become optimistic about uncertainty in the future. You know, the language starts making sense to you. I remember when crypto first came out, right? Panic stations. I don't know enough about it. I would go and listen to lectures. I understood 0.5% of what was going on. Today, we have an investment company. We have multiple Bitcoin. We have all sorts of DAOs and DeFi and stuff I didn't understand. And now we're running with it. And now we have Excel spreadsheets explaining it. We are watching markets. This is all from 4 years of continuously searching and researching and putting our sort of like thoughts into it. Another one was buying a property in Dubai. Let me tell you the rigmarole that you have to go through, like which bank, how much, this place, that. I didn't understand any of it 2 years ago. Now it's done. And now I understand it. What did I do? I simplified the information. I elevated my awareness to thinking that I deserve it. I restructured the way I think about money and property. Bada bang, bada bing, here we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is an ongoing process.
There's something that I've been wanting to try and build into my keynote, and I just haven't sat down to do it yet. But, you know, I have this, I guess, a theory that like the world is changing at a very rapid pace, and you need to change as well, but you don't need to exactly match the pace of what's happening in the world around you, because that's what's contributing to the overwhelm, is that you see how quickly things are moving and you feel like, okay, I need to quickly move as well, and you know, learn all these things all at once. Is like, but actually, like, the pace that it's happening out there versus the pace where it's happening for you is slightly different. But there is a certain cadence that you need to keep up with. And that cadence is you stepping in and simplifying and elevating and restructuring at a small scale. And over time, that small scale becomes a much bigger scale. But it feels like you need to be very quick. Whereas you don't. You just need to be very intentional. And if you're very intentional, then it means that you're doing something. And if you're doing something, it's obviously better than doing nothing. And that doing something over time becomes a bit more nuanced and a bit more complex. And now you are really in the game. And what made me think about this was there was this meme in 2016 where, like, it's a 3-panel. So that, like, panel 1 is Elon Musk saying, you know, in 4 years from now, every car is going to be a self-driving car. And then in 2018, you have this guy who says, in the next 2 years, all doctors are going to be, all radiologists will be unemployed. And then it shows this screenshot in 2024 of cars in traffic, and it says radiologists driving themselves to work in rush hour traffic.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's moving quickly. You can't, like, agentic thinking is here. I was watching some demos again this morning. It's incredible where it's going. You don't have to worry about keeping up with all of it. Just start this process of simplifying, elevating, and restructuring. Because the longer you wait, the more difficult it becomes. And then, like, catching up becomes much harder than just a little bit as you go.
Remember when you were a kid and your grandmother and grandfather had no idea how to operate the VHS, and you laughed at them because it was quite simple for you to operate the VHS? Today, if you're not worrying about AI, you're a grandmother. Welcome to it, old person.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's happened. You've become old, and now you're like, these new technologies are just for youngsters. Well, no, they're actually just for people that are optimistic about uncertainty, and you're old. So that's all that's happened, is that we become petulant in our older age because our brains are fighting against change. We don't want to put the energy into it, and we have a million excuses why. I got too much on the go. I don't have the energy for it. I'm so tired. Okay, well, you go backwards. Thanks for coming. Bye, Felicia. Out the game.
Yeah, well, listen, thank you so much. It was great spending some time with you on the pod today. And for those listening, as you can tell, there are 3 incredible keynotes that are waiting for you on the other side of just visiting www.johnsanei.com. And
how do you spell that? How do you spell that? John what? J what?
johnsonay.com. You can also, maybe the better way of getting there is going to www.erikkruger.com, and then
Oh,
you'll find your way.
go to the
You'll find your
Expansive
way.
page, then you'll see John there, and then go via there. But visit Erik's keynotes first on the way out. Make a booking and then go via to John's.
Listen, we obviously we compete to a certain degree because we're both in the keynoting space, but we've always said that we also supporters of each other's businesses and fans. And you've done an incredible job in building your speaking business, and anyone is lucky to listen to you speak. And if you haven't booked John yet, then make sure to do that. If you have booked him, guess what? There are two other keynotes you can go and book. No. You can still two other keynotes to go and book.
Look, we are definitely supporters of each other. Just one supports the one more than the other one supports the other one. We won't point any fingers.
Again, it's all about how you measure. It's all about how you measure support.
Value. Yes, value. Yeah. I know. It's value. Yeah, I'll get over it eventually. I suppose I'll get over it eventually when I see $20,000 in my bank account. Just kidding. Thanks everybody for joining us. Now we're prating die kak, as we say in Afrikaans. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always wonderful to have you with us, and we look forward to joining you again next week. Until next week, be expansive, live expansively, and make sure that you simplify, elevate, and restructure your thinking, your behavior, and your approach to the future. And then you can only be optimistic and smiling about what's coming. Until next week, ciao.